Muldrotha the Gravetide versus the very popular Golos Tireless Pilgrim. Seen Golos all over the place recently. We are going to have to bin that one and go for some more lands. We've got not a lot going on there, but hopefully we can get some stuff going with Jace. So let's keep that, get rid of the Bane of Progress, and get on with our opening turn fetid pools. We could go for a turn 1 Jace here. No, let's go for turn 2 Jace. We might need this Lotus Petal for green mana. Expedition map from our opponent, and we've got Seal of Primordium, which we could use to get rid of the Expedition map right now, actually. How fast is our opponent is the question. Let's drop the Lotus Petal. I'm actually going to go after the Expedition map here. I'm just going to assume my opponent was going for Field of the Dead or Gaia's Cradle or Urborg, something like that. Something that would really help them mana-wise. Commune with dinosaurs. Look at the top 5 cards. Reveal a dinosaur or land. And put it into your hand. They have a tropical island on top. Obviously don't know if they've got another land on top or not. Followed by a ponder. Yeah, we're up against a capable player here, so glad I went for that Expedition map play. Now an Urborg for us. Yeah, don't really want to play that Urborg. It helps our opponent with their coloured mana, but yeah, and they can also go for Cabal Coffers, but I'm just going to put it on the field so that we can go for the Skull Clamp. We also don't miss a land drop this way. They get into Isolated Chapel, so they have black mana anyway, and then a Sol Ring, so we're seeing our opponent's commander next turn. Gonna have to discard that Snap Mage, I think. Oh, there's a Lightning Greaves. Consecrated Sphinx, we're nowhere near, let's just get rid of that. We'll go Lightning Greaves onto the Jace. Now, what is this? It's if there are 5 or more cards in your graveyard, so we're a couple of cards away from that. Might get into a fetch next turn, but we'd actually rather not flip Jace. We're after the looting effect currently. Down comes Golos, Tireless Pilgrim. And a Shriekmaw cannot kill Golos, I don't think. Is it just non-black? Non-artifact, non-black. Okay, so let's go for a loot again. And there's a Bayou, so we'll get rid of Shriekmaw, hold on to the Bayou. And we're just limping our way up to our commander currently. We might want to go for Snap Mage as a flash creature for blocking something. I doubt it, but we'll hold it up anyway and explore from our opponent. They played Maze's End, by the way. They're nowhere near a Maze's End victory, but we'll see what else they can get going. There is their first gate of the game. It's also their first piece of red mana. So now they can start activating Golos next turn. And then activating Maze's End, which is 3 tap. Search your library for a gate card, put it into play, and then shuffle your library. If you control 10 or more gates with different names, you win the game. They obviously do not yet, but they're on their way. Then Golos comes in at us. We're not going to throw Snapcaster Mage in the way of that. Return a target creature to its owner's hand. We certainly don't want to do that. So let's loot that as well. Ugh, we're not doing anything here, are we? No ramp. Hardly any lands. And then there's Jace as well. We can't do anything with the minus, so let's plus it. Golos can deal 1 damage to Jace if it wants to. Might just have to go for Snapcaster Mage at the end of my opponent's turn so that we can Skull Clamp it next turn. Probably should have done that on our turn just then, actually. A Golos activation incoming. There is a couple of lands and a cast down. Destroy a target non-legendary creature, so they have... actually, they could kill our Snap Mage there, couldn't they? This is until the end of the turn. Should have gone for Snapcaster and Skullclamp on my turn. Let's plus this again. Go for the Verdant Catacombs. We'll go Snap Mage. Then Clamp. Yeah, definitely should have done that last turn. A Caustic Caterpillar and a Soul Ring. Let's go for the Soul Ring. And we'll also go for Caustic Caterpillar clamped as well. And a Lotus Cobra with a Cyclonic Rift. Okay. We've drawn plenty of cards. How many cards have we drawn throughout this game? Turn 7 and we've only gotten into 5 lands. Lotus Cobra is actually the first piece of ramp that we've gotten into. Oh, and the Soul Ring has appeared as well. Now Golos activating again. And there is an Amulet of Vigour, that's really good. Fatal Push is useless. And Vampiric Tutor, I'm sure they don't mind seeing. Our opponent has 7 cards in hand. What they want to tutor for is anyone's guess though. They could cheat something into play during their upkeep. Yeah, they put something on top with Vamp Tutor and then activate Golos during their upkeep to reveal whatever it is that they tutored for and cheat it into play. Just going for Maze's End there, already making use of the Amulet of Vigour. I would very much like to Woodfall Primus some of these gates out of the way because they only have a finite number of gates in the entire game actually. I think it's 10 or 11 gates I think, and they need 10 to win with Maze's End. So if that's their game plan, all we have to do is get rid of some gates, preferably exile them from the graveyard, and our opponent might not be able to win from there. Golos continuing to swing in at Jace, keeping him at 5 loyalty. Azusa is utterly useless. Still can't go for anything with Jace's minus, can we? So let's just go like that. Then we'll get down the Lotus Cobra. Sacrifice the Verdant Catacombs. We'll get a green and blue source here, which is Tropical Island. Add mana with Lotus Cobra. Might just be able to pull ourselves back into this. Play the Lotus Petal. We can play a land. That will give us a mana. So what do we want to cast here? We can only play 1 permanent from the bin, so Azusa won't help us there. We could go Caustic Caterpillar or Primordial Seal of Primordium onto that Amulet of Vigour, sounds good. So let's go like that. Sack this. Just going for a forest so that we've got 2 basics. Going for green again. Play Seal of Primordium. Get rid of the amulet. Then we'll play the Caustic Caterpillar. Sacrifice the Lotus Petal to go for Skullclamp onto the Caustic Caterpillar. Draw some cards. There's Ramunap along with Azusa, so now we might be able to get somewhere. We'll put Lightning Greaves onto the Muldrotha. And let's swing in at our opponent. They can only take 3 direct hits, so this might force them. In fact, it might encourage them to keep their Golos back because we're not going to swing into Golos. And in my experience, Golos wants to leave the battlefield so that it can be recast. Looks like our opponent has a lot of spot removal with things like Cast Down and Fatal Push though. Do they have any graveyard hate is the question. That Maze's End comes into play again, slowed right down by us getting rid of the Amulet of Vigour. Circuitous Route, that gets some gates into play, doesn't it? Yeah, we really need to think about Woodfall Primus. If we could get into a Wasteland... Yeah, if we get a tutor, I'm definitely going for Wasteland, because Azusa and Ramunap means we can pepper away at those gates, no problem. How many are there in play? 1... that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 currently. And that thing's power and toughness is equal to the number of differently named lands you control. No haste, luckily. We can get rid of that thing, though, especially with a Rex Sage. Yeah, I think we have to go for Lotus Cobra here. Let's play the Lotus Petal, first of all. That's a nice bit of extra mana every turn. Then we will plus the Jace. And yeah, I'm just going to risk our opponent hopefully not getting into enough gates to win next turn. Let's drop Azusa and Ramming Out. Then we'll get the Lotus Cobra back as well. And now we can generate some more mana. We can still go for Seal of Cleansing onto the... yeah, onto that creature sounds good. We'll play that land once. We'll say yes to the Lotus Cobra, add green. Sacrifice it so that we can play it again. Go Sunken Hollow. And I don't know, just add green again. Might even be able to go for Woodfall Primus here. We've got 2 more lands to make with Azusa and Ramming Out. Play yet again. Make some blue. Sack it for a 3rd time. And we'll play a Forest out this time. Haven't gotten into any shocks yet, I don't think. Oh, we've got the Breeding Pool in hand and 2 in the library. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 we can play. No, we've run out of land drops there, haven't we? I think we go for Woodfall Primus here. Yeah, because then we can go for Seal of Primordial onto that thing. And we will get rid of Maze's End. So now our opponent has to try and get that Maze's End back if they want to win with that combo. Then it is sacrificing the Lotus Petal for mana. And we get that thing back into play. Get that out of the way of our commander that's going to come swinging in again. Okay, we're looking in a way better position here. Only really because this is a fun build of Golos, Tireless Pilgrim. A Gates deck isn't the most optimal build of Golos by a long shot. But we've also been able to keep Golos from leaving play, so we have played around that quite well. Oh, Tatyova. Tatyova and Elvish Rejuvenator. Alright, well, Tatyova needs to go down. We've got a Shriekmaw in the bin, thankfully. Then an Elvish Rejuvenator as well. That is... you may put a land from among the top 5 into play tapped. They went for a Drowned Catacomb, which is not a gate. Tatyova does draw them a card and gain them a life there, though. They can also activate Golos again here, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Playing Field of the Dead, there it is. Only a matter of time before Field of the Dead shows up. So now what we want is a sack outlet to start blowing up our opponent's lands with Woodfall Primus. Open the gate, search your library for a basic land or a gate card. Reveal it, put it into your hand. Yeah, so they can get the gate count up to 10 here, or close to it. I have to go through and count them all again, because I've lost track of how many gates are in play here. I don't imagine that they can't get Maze's End out of the graveyard. You may play up to 3 additional lands this turn. Well, that'll trigger Field of the Dead. They've got 5 cards in hand, and every time they play one of these lands, they draw with Tatyova as well. So making all 3 extra land drops there, so they are still at 5 cards thanks to their Tatyova card there. Let's go through and see how many gates there are. 7 and 8. So a couple more should do it. A Wayward Swordtooth from our opponent. And then playing another land, thanks to the Wayward Swordtooth. And after all that, they've still got 5 cards in hand. Getting into Tatyova was a real game changer there. Then a Lightning Bolt on Azusa. Yeah, that means that we can either go for Shriekmaw or Azusa next turn. That does change things. And then deciding not to swing in with Golos. Okay, we've got a Conjurer's Bauble. I don't want to play anything out of the graveyard yet, really. We could go for Consecrated Sphinx. We want the Shriekmaw, really. Well, we'll plus Jace first of all. Alright, let's go for Conjurer's Bauble first. to try and draw a card. Oh, not try, we will draw a card. We'll put the Sidisi's Faithful on the bottom because we don't care about that. Get into an Ancient Tomb, which we don't care about either. So let's go Rex Sage just so that we can Skull Clamp that. Definitely say yes to Lotus Cobra. Play the Reclamation Sage and get rid of this Sol Ring. Then I'm just going to pay the life into Ancient Tomb. I don't know how much mana we're going to need this turn. Okay, Wormcoil Engine. Maybe we just get down Consecrated Sphinx. Oh no, we have to get rid of that Tatyova, don't we? So we'll cast that with Evoke. Definitely get rid of Tatyova. Then we'll play the Conjurer's Bauble from the bin as well. Again, just going for card draw. What do we want to put on the bottom? Snapcaster Mage is no use to us in the bin, is it? So we'll go for that. Animate Dead. That can go on Azusa. And then we can still play Consecrated Sphinx. That's actually a pretty good draw, so let's go for that. Then we can carry on as we left off. We'll just go in for the Verdant Catacomb plays again, because it generates more mana. It does mean that we lose life, but we've got Wormcoil Engine. So that leaves us with 4 mana floating. We tap those down. And, oh, we can't cast Consecrated Sphinx because we went for Shriekmaw. Yeah, I forgot about that. So instead, we'll just go Wormcoil Engine. If our opponent wants to swing into that, they're more than welcome. And then we might as well play the Seal of Primordium. And we'll leave that out. And then we can go Skull Clamp onto the Azusa. Our opponent seems eager to get rid of that, so we'll put that on there. And just hope that our opponent doesn't win next turn, I think. Really needed a sack outlet to start getting rid of some gates there. Yeah, another gate out of the hand. So exiling Maze's End is our main priority here currently. Oh, they go for a Muldrotha of their own. Can they untap their Maze's End is the question. Oh, they've got the Amulet of Vigour. They might be able to win here then. Yeah, I forgot. We're playing Muldrotha and I forgot all about the Amulet of Vigour that's in their graveyard, so they may be able to do it here. Yeah, even if we'd gone for Cyclonic Rift, there's nothing we could have done there. They could have recast Muldrotha. Yeah, there's nothing we can do here. We can't respond to them playing a land from the graveyard. We don't get priority in time to get rid of the Amulet of Vigour. Yeah, they've got priority, so they went straight in for the land before we had time to blow it up. I think they win here. They do. There we go. Let's have a look. Let's just say good game to our opponent first of all. Yeah, I'm happy with how we managed to come back from that because we were looking awful in the beginning of the game but managed to just start to sneak our way back into it. Let's see how close we were to... Well, Windfall would have got us into some stuff potentially. We wanted sack outlets really. I mean, this is sort of a sack outlet. So if we cast it every turn, I mean, we could have tutored for one there. Yeah, a couple of draws into Windfall, into this thing. Yeah, maybe we could have, with another turn, maybe we could have done something. Perhaps we should have been more aggressive with the Skull Clamp. But Lotus Cobra and Azusa and Ramunap really got us back into that game with all this mana. So yeah, just too slow ultimately. And the gates, there's 1, 2, 3, 10, 11 there. So all they needed to do, they had more than enough gates. All they needed to do was activate their Maze's End, which is now in their hand. And yeah, wins them the game because they've got all the gates. Like I said, just a turn or two behind in the end, but we were way further behind than that in the early game, so I'm happy with the performance here today. and we got to see a cool Golos build. They came back from the brink there thanks to our very own Muldrotha the Gravetide. So hopefully you all enjoyed this game. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.